Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I just wanted to cover a little bit about SDK Analyzer, how you can save some of these trade studies, make it a little more easy to use, and then if you want, in addition to the capabilities that Analyzer provides, you can actually take these, save them as a CSV, pull them into Python, and do some more custom plotting, custom data analysis. So I just want to cover how you can do that today. So first off, I have a real quick, very simple example scenario. In this scenario, I pretty much just have a satellite with a sensor. And the idea here is I want to vary the satellite's orbit in order to maximize access time to this ground station, this place one over here. We can obviously make them much more complicated and sophisticated than that, but this is just an example to show you how the plotting tool works. So I already have run one trade study for this scenario. And all I'm doing here is varying the orbit, the semi-major axis, the inclination, how eccentric the orbit is, as well as the argument of perigee to maximize access to this place one. So once you run your Analyzer trade study, there's a lot of cool plots that you can do. These are the ones available. You have simple like 2D bar plots. A more common one is a 3D scatter plot. There's also some really interesting plots about like this main effects and parallel coordinates. I'm just going to pull up one just to show you how it works. So I have this 3D scatter plot. You can pop that up in Analyzer. When that appears, you can interact with it, so that's a really cool feature of Analyzer. You can move around, you can start playing with all these labels, but if it doesn't look quite the way you want and you want to present this, there's a lot of customization you can do in here. You can also actually end up saving this trade study to a CSV, and I'll show you how to do that. You would just go to this top where it says File, and then Export Data, and you can save this to a CSV. And when you do, then you can pull that data, that trade study, into something like Python to do a little more custom data analysis. So that's what I want to show you today, is an example that we have on our GitHub that will take these trade studies from Analyzer and just create a bunch of those kind of plots and allow you to sort of customize them and do a little more data analysis. So here is an example of some of the types of plots you can build. You have this 3D scatter plot, you have a surface plot, you have this sort of scatter matrix. We have something called like a violin and a swarm plot, a parallel plot, and then a sort of a density plot over here. So if we want to look at that code, which is up on our GitHub, here it is. I just want to walk through it real quick. So the first thing you want to do is open up Jupyter Notebooks. This is written in Jupyter Notebook in Python. And all you really need to do is you can run through and pretty much just execute this code for your trade study. All you're going to really need to do is give it a file name. Basically where you save that trade study, it's saved as a CSV. From there, it will read in that data into a pandas data frame and then present it to you right here. So that same sort of information we went through in Analyzer, we now have it in Python. And then you can start using some nice features of Python, particularly pandas data frames. You can do things like describe the data itself. You can see like the mean, the min, the different percentile values as well as standard deviations. From there, you can do things like sort by the highest value. In this case, I'm going to sort by the highest access time. And as you would suspect in this trade study, we capped out our semi-major axis at 7,000 kilometers. And so that's going to give us the highest access time, as you would typically expect. But you can also see from this one particular trade study that 40 degrees inclination turned out to be a good inclination values. And you can start investigating some of that stuff, whether in a table view like we have here, or in some plots right beneath it. Some other things you can do are the simple correlations. So this is correlating with access time. We have semi-major axis, argument of perigee. Apparently these are pretty heavily correlated with access time for this example. And I'm not going to go through all the details of this trade study because it's an example. But if you were to execute these cells for your trade study, you might need to do just a little bit of modification if you want a different sort of result. But this format is built to really work for any trade study. So it'll just go through, if you just execute this script with your own CSV saved, it'll go through, it'll build a scatter matrix. This is your standard one right here. You can start doing simple histograms, seeing how your results vary. This is like just binning the frequency of total number of access times. And you can walk through some of these simpler plots, but it'll also build out these more complicated ones, such as this 3D scatter plot. You can also see you can vary the size of the dots based on some metric as well as the color. and you can play with any of these customizations with matplotlib standard Python practices. So the other plots that it'll generate for you are these heat maps. So you can see, in this case, I'm varying semi-major axis by argument of perigee, and then you can color code it with these heat maps. You can create surface contours, as well as customize some of these scatter plots, and then you can color code this data to better explain your results to people or gain new insights. And then you can also take some use of these other types of Python plots, particularly Seaborn, I think in this case, and get some of these density plots, and you can get some like density distributions over here to learn more insights about your data. So that's really all I wanted to show you guys. You can take pretty much any trade study, run it through this, and then you can get all sorts of these, all sorts of different plots, and you can customize these to present to others and share your data. And if you guys want to grab this code example, you can go to our GitHub, Analytical Graphics Inc., our SDK code examples, SDK automation, and then Python. And then this is the analyzer plots folder right here. You can go ahead and grab that. Thanks.